Yeah, right. Can't keep doing this.
Good evening, everybody. We'll start with the public hearing for general assistance maximums. Any comments from the public? None. Comments from the board? None. Town manager?
No, sir.
We'll close the public hearing on general assistance maximums. Call the meeting to order. Please join us in the flag salute. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Action on the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and second. Any discussion? All those in favor? So vote. Adjustments to the agenda.
I have nothing, sir.
Public comments. Please state your name and the town that you're from for the record.
Jenny Haslett, Oxford, Maine. I'm here because of a dog issue on Jenny Lane. It needs to be addressed. I don't care how it gets addressed, but it needs to. My neighbor has 4 aggressive dogs, plus the dogs have had puppies now and all inbred. They've been in my yard multiple times. I have called Larrabee multiple times. I've called the police multiple times. And I'm afraid to even go in my own yard. And they're not registered, I know that for a fact. But I'd like to know if I can get a petition to have these dogs removed from his house. And I have called Animal Welfare in Augusta, they're on it also. And sometimes I can't even sleep at night because I have to wear earplugs so that I don't get the dogs barking all night. I'd like to know what are my options.
That's something the police chief can maybe address.
They definitely can.
Sure.
Yep, we've been addressing the issue with the dogs. There is a problem there with them. We issued a bunch of summonses 2 weeks ago to that individual, still having a dog problem. Been working with Robert, but in order for those dogs to be taken, it has to be done by the court. And it's not a simple process to do. And that's more of a Robert specialty than that would be particularly mine, because he knows that route.
And I've called the DA and got nowhere. Got nowhere. They've gone to court once and they pleaded not guilty. And I had provided pictures of the dogs in my yard several times, showing that they were in my yard. And we had one picture where the dog was baring his teeth. And I don't even dare take my granddaughter out in the yard because if they get loose, and if I fall, I have 2 fake hips, I can't get myself up. And my next door neighbor had an incident just yesterday where the dogs charged him and he had to get a rake to use in case they come at him.
And
So,
that instance being handled now.
What about, well, I think we're gonna have to talk to Robert about that, because there is the leash law.
Mm-hmm. The dog at large, yeah.
Right.
I know there is a law on the books, I have no trespassing signs on my property, that if a dog is on my property and I have signs up, that they can be charged, the people can be charged.
Animal trespass.
Yep. But I've had enough. I'm at a breaking point with this.
So the chief's aware of it, animal control's aware of it. Your select board, there's not much that we can do about it, ma'am. The courts will have to take, their process through. And I know the courts can be very frustrating, time-wise.
You have no idea.
Well, I have a pretty good idea about the courts, ma'am.
But I'm just saying, I've had enough.
I don't blame you.
You need my name too if I speak, or?
If you'd like to speak.
Yeah, Joel Haslett, same address, Oxford, Maine. Yeah, I think it'd be too bad if somebody got hurt before this happened. Like I said, I guess, I'm not sure what you can do, but when I was over at my neighbors who got charged at yesterday, he has a loaded gun by the door now, so it's a matter of time for somebody or something gets hurt and it gets to the next level. Or,
Because it's very close to that right now.
yeah, there's people at the end of the road that have young kids and they walk up and down the road and, I just think it's a safety hazard for the kids. I mean, I guess it's easy to do something after somebody gets hurt, but it's too bad that it's gotta get to that point.
We do have a young child got mauled. Because these dogs are not, they're vicious. I mean, they, last winter, one come right over the bank and chased my son right in the door and almost bit him.
And again, these people have been summoned and summoned and summoned, and of course, we don't get the support from the courts, as you found out today.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go out
So
and
I-
honest.
There is a frustration there, absolutely.
Okay.
I just need you people to be aware of it, so if something happens, I'm coming back.
We're aware.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
I
Lois?
remembered what it was. Down, behind the meeting house, the cemetery there, someone put up a nice kind of wooden rail fence. And for some reason, something knocked it down partway. If somebody doesn't straighten it up before it snows, it's just gonna lay it right down on the ground, so.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Yes, hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Chris Glass. I'm 162 Hogan Pond Lane. Here tonight to speak with regards to the Welchville Dam. Not so much the project as much as the procedure that is put in place for opening and closing of the gates. We all know it's been very difficult this year weather-wise, and we've had a lot of rain and such. And from what I understand, I think Jim from the highway department receives numerous calls, and he's been great on my end. I've had a lot of conversations with him via text, and he's been accommodating, and it's been great. I personally am trying to coordinate with the association to have a single voice. I think that what happens a lot is that people see that it's at their level that they want, and they immediately want to close the gate and make calls. And I'm sure Jim is very busy, as we all are, and probably getting inundated with calls. So the concern that I have is that there are people that are making calls that don't understand of the additional potential runoffs that would happen, potential precipitation, and things of that nature, ground saturation and such. Long story short, right now the gates, when I drove by today, they appear to be open, not fully. I don't know if that was done for a reason or not, but we've gone up in water significantly over the last couple of days. And again, I know 2.5 inches, it's to happen. But a couple questions I would have, and I don't expect answers tonight, but one of them would be a lot of our height differences are a direct result of Thompson opening their dam, which understandably so that they want to. One of my questions I have is that an automatic, when they redid the dam, is it an automatic control of that dam, or is somebody physically going out there to open it?
Somebody has to open
Okay, so, for everyone to, I request that, based on the size of that sluice gate at the dam in Thompson, along with the outfall that we have from the Little Androscoggin upriver, if we're going to open the Thompson Dam, Welchville needs to be open at minimum 12 hours prior. Because what Hogan and Whitney are doing is absorbing that flow. It's becoming like a basin. So if there's a possibility to do such that we could, if we're gonna go out there and do that, I don't know what the procedure is, who monitors the height of the Thompson Dam, if there's an actual, inclinometer or anything like that. We really need to, I'm losing my wall, which is gonna cost me a significant amount. We're losing water quality because of the water going up so high and it's pulling off of the shores, along with losing docks, boats, things flipping over. So respectfully request that if Thompson is to open, we need to be proactive and try to open Welchville before and monitor precipitation. My background is I don't live up here permanently yet. I build bridges in Boston. I also do dam control for the Charles River. It's vital to monitor precipitation on a daily, weekly basis, and just don't make assumptions that if it rains a little bit here, that it doesn't rain a lot more upriver from the up the Little Androscoggin. So I don't want to bring up, the dam removal or any of that or that, but just in the interim for a short term, I think that we would like to have a little bit more input. And again, a single voice, I'm trying to do that for Hogan and Whitney if possible, so that, again, Jim doesn't get inundated with calls, but things of that nature. So whatever can be done would be very helpful, because it is causing us monetary, discomfort. So, thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you. I don't know, is there a set height for Hogan and Whitney when that's open and closed?
So for Hogan and Whitney Pond, there is a town meeting several years back. The town meeting decided on the times for opening and closing.
It's just dates, right?
Yep, so I'll get those, I have a copy of those minutes in my office. I'll provide those to the board for discussion purposes.
If I could just add one more thing. Prior to you coming on, Butch and I had quite a few conversations back and forth, and I'd offered and submitted paperwork to him that I would be willing to operate and maintain at no cost to the town. I sent all the insurance requirements, my resume, my company's resume. My company, we control $2 billion in assets for Mass DOT drawbridges. We're well versed in mechanical, electrical, structural, and such. So if it's something that might be overwhelming to Jim, I am transitioning to being up here full-time. I do not mind taking that on if that's something that the board would be interested in. No fee whatsoever. And it was something that was talked about, and Butch had actually kicked it up to legal, and he had approved it, but at that point, nothing else happened. But if that's something that the board might be interested in or whatever, I'm more than willing to do. We want to, try to limit, how busy everybody else is, so.
Anybody else? Public comment? Business items, adoption of the 2023-2024 general assistance ordinance maximums.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? To vote. Business item 5.2, fiscal year 2023-2024 tax commitment. Who would like to start?
Maybe Adam could explain what he's given us and his options.
Sure. All right, so what the board has in front of you right now is you have a whole bunch of mill rate projections, ranging from, these include mill rates, all different types. One of the things is the manager that, now that we've gone through a reval, we know that there are more than likely going to be some abatements that come down the pike. I would highly recommend that the board consider having an overlay on either side of $100,000. Generally speaking, traditionally Oxford seems to have an overlay of $50,000, but I think that, again, we're going to expect to see some more abatements. The other piece of that is that casino revenues. We looked at what amount of casino revenues were used last year and projecting forward into the future. Looking at counting on $1.5 million in casino funds. Potentially there could be more casino funds. That's something that the board can talk about as well. But one of the things that I'm looking at is $1.5 million in casino revenue, an overlay of $121,000 as a first example would bring us to a mill rate of 9.5. If the overlay was $83,874, it would bring us to a mill rate of 9.45. So I have provided in here also a breakdown of what casino revenues we've received, mill rate comparisons, and all of those kind of things. So the 9.45 and 9.5 is kind of that's where I'm coming from. But there's other options in there, of course, for you to look at.
Yes.
Sharon?
I'll go first if nobody else wants to. I have the charts and I've reviewed them all. I don't support that recommendation. I've already told Adam that. I support using $2 million of casino revenue, and I don't support anything that's over $9 a mill rate this year because of the increased assessments and the increase that it's going to bring to taxpayers. Having worked with these types of numbers for many years as well, if we look at using 2 mil, there are 3 options. The first one would be $8.70 for a mill rate. I wouldn't support that because it only has an overlay of a little over $24,000. The next one is $8.75. That's an overlay of a little over $62,000, and $8.80 is a overlay of $99,000. I would anticipate there will be a lot of abatement requests. That doesn't mean they're all going to be approved. The approval process will be if the valuations are not accurate. So I would be comfortable with either $8.75 or $8.80 for a mill rate, but nothing over that, and I do support using all $2 million.
When Jackson talks about all $2 million, it's not all the casino money. The casino brought in about $2.2 million last year, and we looked and we are on schedule for just about the same amount so far this year. So that is leaving a little bit of casino money in reserve. It all boils down to how you want to, assign the taxes. It's all taxpayer money. The casino money is now the money of the taxpayer, the town of Oxford, and your property taxes. The more the casino money we use to offset the mill rate, the lower the mill rate will be, the lower your property taxes will be. The less of the casino money we use, the higher the mill rate will have to be set at, and the higher your property taxes will be. So, and that's the quandary I guess we're in. I have often heard, where's all the casino money go? Where's all the casino money go? And I'm telling you right now, that's where it's going. Last year we used about $1.5 million of it to keep the mill rate down. And whatever we're gonna use tonight will keep that mill rate down. So that's where it's going. If anybody asks you, it's to keep your property taxes lower than they need to be. Anybody else?
I think it, I don't know, I hate to be so close if we go with the 2 weeks too. I think there's gotta be some other mid-ground there. I mean, I don't want my taxes any higher than anybody else does, don't get me wrong, but the idea of planning that the casino's gonna, I mean, I hate spending it before we got it. Maybe that's one way to look at it.
Colby?
Well, how I feel is, I see the way things are going right now in the state, in the country, the inflation rate the way it is. We have a lot of older people in the town of Oxford. They live on set incomes. And I agree with Sharon. I think that we should keep it with the, use the 2 million and keep it at 880 with a overlay of 99.4. And I understand where Floyd's coming from. And it's too bad to spend it when we haven't got it. But same thing with tax revenue.
Well, it hasn't come in, is what I'm getting
No,
at.
it hasn't come in, but,
We're assuming it's going to.
and we're assuming that everyone's gonna pay their taxes, so
You know what
So-
assume does.
that's right.
Okay.
Okay, so the way I look at it is, for right now, for this year or anything else, is I use the 2 million. I think if you look back in the minutes, 2 or 3 years ago, I made a motion that anything over $2 million would go into capital improvements, but the 2 million would go towards tax commitment. And that went away. I haven't seen anything more of that. And I think that, the whole idea was this year, to use that money for tax commitment, when it was proposed. That's why we got 2%, county got 1%.
Sure.
I just want to make a point about the revenue. When we do the mill rate calculation, all of our revenue is what we're estimating the revenue from next year is going to be. It's not, we don't have any of the revenue that we estimate, so it's all estimated. The casino is estimated, all of the excise tax, that all goes towards this. That's added in with the casino revenue. Dog fees, everything that we take in for revenue, we're estimating the revenue we're going to bring in for the next year. Who's to say that if we estimate $700,000 to come in for excise tax, what if we only get 400,000? So you have to look at the same type of thing when you're talking about the casino as well. It's all based on estimates because we have none of it and we won't have it until the end of the year. But the reality is the estimated revenues always, I don't ever remember a year, no matter where I've been, the estimates come in lower than what the estimate, because the idea is to estimate on the low side, not the high side. So we have to apply the same thinking for the casino revenue that we do for the excise tax revenue and every other revenue source that we are using to bring this mill rate down. But I think this year it's critical because of the increases people are going to see. Even with an $8.80 mill rate, people are going to see significant increases. So I won't say any more because I think I've made my point, but that's where I'm going to hold on.
Scott?
Well, I've always said since day one, since I've been on this board, that we need to wean off the casino money because it is not a guarantee. Back last time, a few years ago, we lost over $800,000 in revenue. There is no option for us to get that money back. If you don't pay your taxes, we can come take you home after. We can't do that with $2 million. That's a total loss. There's no, if the casino pays their property taxes, they pay their personal property tax and all that, there's $2 million out there that, to me, is our paper mill. I've always considered it as a paper mill for us because it could close tomorrow. And what's a mill for us today?
15 today.
No,
No, the value of a mill?
yeah.
The new one will be about 800,000 for a mill, yep.
So currently, before we do this adjustment, that's about a 5 mil increase to your taxes if that was to stop today. So, I don't feel, at some point, I think we're gonna get that. I agree with Mr. Thayer that I think the town in the beginning should have waited a year, so you actually have that money. Town didn't do that. So now, this is what the revenue does, but if we have an economic downturn, again, we could lose $800,000 of that revenue or more. So my personal opinion is, I don't think that's fair to the taxpayer. I think we need to wean off that money. Though if we get that money could be used for capital improvement project, so that wouldn't be included in the budget. We spend what we collect and do projects that we need to. That's my thought. I would be, if we could come up with agreement to slowly wean that off, but this is a problem of not adjusting taxes for 14 years. Everybody's all upset because their taxes are going up. But again, it's been 14 years since taxes were, matter of fact, they actually went down. So the reality of that is that what we're faced with today is large property taxes increase, should that. And again, I would be willing to go use $1 million of it, but other than that, and like I said, continually over the years, get off that, but I just don't see it as doing a favor to the taxpayers should something happen. You think you get a large increase in your taxes now, if that closes, you'll see a bigger one.
Can I ask you, what is the mill rate right now? That we have?
So the mill rate today is 15, and it's been 15 for 4 or 5 years
Right,
now.
yeah.
Actually went down, so.
I got a question, I mean, I didn't think about it till you sent out the memo there, but last year, a lot of people in this room probably filed that deal where your taxes weren't gonna go up. Remember when the state had all their extra money and they were gonna, if you made out that form, the taxes would never go up? How's this gonna affect, I mean, how's our mill rate, and will we sign that? Do we pay on last year's mill rate either way, or? I mean, it sounds kinda stupid, but I don't have a good answer for it.
No, your assessment will not increase, is what it is. Your assessment will stay at what it was previously. So if you were previously assessed for 100,000 and you went up to 200,000, you'll be assessed on the 100,000. So because it's your assessment that gets locked in. Are you talking about the senior?
Yeah.
The senior one, yes. Stabilization, thank you. And we received some information already from the state to submit for reimbursement for the difference. So supposedly the state is going to reimburse us for the difference.
Regardless, however this comes out.
That's what's supposed to happen.
But just this year, then it's over.
That's correct.
Yeah, but when they were
1
selling
year.
that to us, they said it was going on forever and ever. I tried to get an answer on how that was gonna be funded, they couldn't give us one now.
Ma'am,
So does that
Hold on.
mean?
so I will entertain one comment, but public comment is over. We've had that period. If you state your name and make your
Pat
comment.
Perkins, Oxford, Pleasant Street. I was just wondering what Adam said about the formula. Is that based on the same tax amount you paid last year, or does the new mill rate apply to the old evaluation? So will the taxes actually decrease? Or I guess that's the part I didn't understand. What happens, I understand the assessment's the same, but is the new mill rate applied or the old mill?
I want to make sure I don't misspeak. So my understanding is that it freezes everything. So your tax bill will be the same as it was last
That's
year.
the way I understood it.
So yes,
All right, thank you.
if I said that in a confusing way, I
Thank
apologize.
you.
So, anybody else? we haven't spent all the casino money from last year. We have a very healthy fund balance, $1.3 million that we have set aside to do, and we have done some capital projects. I can agree with Floyd and Scott that you never know when that casino's gonna close or have the next pandemic. We weathered through the last pandemic, lost $800,000 of casino revenue, and your tax bill did not go up. So that's what some of that money held in reserve is for. We have monies in reserve to weather this year if we decide to spend 1.5, 1.75, or $2 million of projected casino revenues. To me, it's the more we use of the casino money, the more money the taxpayers keep in their pocket from their property taxes. It's fairly simple math. The less we use, the higher your taxes will be. Some people's taxes may only be a couple $100 difference. And I say only a couple $100 is a lot of money to some people. My stay here on the board has always been about keeping your taxes as low as possible. So therefore, I probably will lean towards using more rather than less of the casino reserves to do just that.
Is there a compromise? Can we come between their number and our number?
I'm done speaking. If anybody else wants to speak, call me.
I'd like to make a motion. Make a motion that we go with the appropriation of $2 million and keep it at 8.8.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. You understand the motion, setting mill rate?
8.8.
That's with a
0.0088.
That's with a 99,400.
Yep. Motion and a second. Any discussion? Sharon?
So, because of the fact that we do have a healthy fund balance and we have 1.3 now, I mean, that's all part of the decision that I'm looking at doing. The seniors who signed up for the tax stabilization, they will get 1 year this year only at the same taxes that they paid last year. But the rest of the people in this town will not get that rate. So I think the rate we're going right now on receiving the casino revenue, we will hit that 2.4 again next year. There's no question in my mind when I look at those charts. And based on what we have in reserve, I think we do need to use an estimate, the estimated 2 million, and I think we will still have a healthy balance. And next year is next year, but that's where I'm going this year. I think we need to keep the taxes for the taxpayers as low as possible because of the major increases this year.
Plus the inflation.
Anybody else? All those in favor? Opposed? 3 to 2 to vote.
So this mill rate, I've got the commitment form right here when we pass around the other things for signature. Just if the board will note, please, that there are 3 different pages that need to be signed for this. And
All
I'll-
of the originals.
Yeah, thank you.
Item 5.3, police cruiser setup RFP. Chief or Adam, I'm not sure who wants to speak.
Yeah, I can kick us off if that's okay. So we purchased the pickup truck, as has been discussed in the past. Pickup truck was $46,743. We put out a RFP for the setup of the cruiser, you know, the equipment and such. We did not get any bids, so the chief discussed with me about reaching out to a vendor he's used in the past. Vendor gave a quote of $17,965 to set the vehicle up. And that brings us to a total of $64,708 to have the vehicle road ready. So there's a couple of things here. One is the fact we didn't receive any bids. Wondering if the board would consider waiving the bid process. The second is if we do waive the bid process, would the board entertain the quote that we received And lastly, this quote brings the total for this vehicle $4,700 over the $60,000 originally approved by the board. So the board would have to consider if they want to allow that to happen.
How is that bid compared to the last one you had done?
Well, this is the pickup truck and the last one was a Charger, so the equipment is two total different
Okay.
scenarios cost-wise.
How much did the car cost?
Is it 12 or 13?
It was right on 14.
14?
Yeah, off the top of my head, it was around 14
It's 17 for the pickup?
for the pickup truck.
There's nobody else that,
Nobody put any RFPs in at all. We held it for 30 days.
So I'm willing to waive the RFP, but I want to see a couple more quotes. And I don't know, it's a little bit of legwork on your part.
Absolutely.
There are other vendors out there. I don't know how busy they are, how far out you're looking with any one vendor in particular. I know you need the vehicle when you're up and running, so. But I would certainly want to at least see 3 quotes if we're going to waive the RFP.
I can reach out to a couple more people and see if they'll put something in.
is that a motion?
Sure.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? So,
Want me to bring those quotes back next?
yep. Minimum of 3.
Yeah, or at least proof that we attempted it.
Counting this one, Dana? Okay.
5.4, public safety building window replacement RFP.
Alright, this one's fairly straightforward. So we posted a replacement RFP for the windows of the public safety building. We have not received any haven't received any bids for that during the time of the bid, the actual bid process. Afterwards, we did receive one, but again, the bids were closed. One of the vendors or contractors that the police chief had talked to over the public safety building actually expressed thoughts that maybe it was less of a window issue and more of a installation issue potentially. So the chief is going to move forward with having him at least do an inspection to see if maybe this problem can be corrected without replacing the windows.
Installation of the old windows or?
Of the old windows.
Yeah.
So he wants to come and actually take some of the siding off so we can look in there and see what's going on and why we have the leakage of water the way that we do, to see whether or not to replace the whole window or just tear that out and then restructure the window back into it.
Makes sense.
So, we're not looking for any action from the board tonight. It's just this was a topic of discussion. I wanted to make sure the board was up to date on this item. So that's where things stand.
I would also suggest if we didn't get any bids, if this goes, we want to get some quotes, if that's where you're going to go, be prepared to come back with 3 quotes.
Sounds good.
Scott?
I agree that probably the installation of the windows were maybe not correct, but that still doesn't alleviate our issue with heat loss there, so, I'd still like to see the windows replaced with something far more efficient, and then maybe we put this back out in first of the year where the contractors aren't starting to get their working, so that, it's pretty bad when you go in an office and it's 55 degrees in there in the middle of the winter time, so not really, I think they're costing us a lot of money, have for 21 years now, so I think it's time that at some point we invest the money and try to tighten that building up a little bit, but that's my thought.
5.5, winter sand RFP.
Okay. We put in an RFP for 2,000 yards of winter sand. We received 3 bids. R8 Tibbetts, $17.50 a yard for a total of $35,000. ECI Materials, $15.25 a yard, $30,500. He also noted in his bid that after the initial 2,000, if the town wants to purchase sand from him per yard, it'll be $7.75 per yard, but the town would have to do the hauling. The last one we received was R. Ralph Corp. at $18 a yard for $36,000. Speaking to the highway foreman, Jim Bennett, he states that he's the lowest bidder, $30,500, ECI Materials. He's had good experience with them and has gotten good products from them in the past. So That's the comments from Jim. So the board's asked to review the bids and decide which one.
Is he delivering that? I mean, with the exception if we want extra, we gotta go get it, but is he delivering it in?
All of,
All three of them are the same, they're considered blue, okay.
yeah,
All right.
yep.
Make a motion to go with ACI materials with 1525.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
Let's have this conversation again.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion from the board? All those in favor?
Nobody
Opposed?
wants to talk to you.
Out.
Oh, okay.
Opposed?
Nope.
Sir?
You already voted on it?
Correct.
I guess I don't need to say anything. And you awarded it ever?
The bid was awarded to ECI, correct?
That name was coming. Good, Joe.
5.6, accept donation from William S. Dunn Memorial Foundation.
So,
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Vote. 6, department head report. We don't have one.
Didn't have
We
one.
weren't expecting one, so 7 town manager report.
Okay. All right, so just a couple of quick items. I received a request from a person that lives in town regarding the signs, the town of Oxford signs, the blue ones on Route 26. And the second time they've reached out to me on this item, the thought of putting solar lights on those, like you would use in your yard to kind of highlight the signs. Is that something that the board would have any interest in doing, putting solar lights on those to bring them up a little, or I'm glad to look at it or we haven't really talked about that, if that's something that we want.
something to look at, see what the cost would be.
I'll get some prices then. All right, the other piece of that is just a reminder that at the next Selectmen's meeting, which is the 5th of next month, we're gonna do another one of those department walkthroughs. Already running into a little bit of a scheduling snafu, so I'll send that out and we'll see what we can figure out, but we'll do a department walkthrough. And then, phone system over at the public safety building ended up having a malfunction. We did have to fix that. That was a costly repair. That ended up costing about $9,000 to get that whole phone system upgraded because the old system was outdated and the motherboard was garbage. And then the other piece of this is I wanted just to note, right now the town has a few positions open. We have a deputy clerk position open. It's full-time. We have 3 positions open at the highway department for driver laborers, CDL driver laborers for plowing and such. Part-time highway positions are open if anybody is interested in applying for a part-time position. It's seasonal. And then a assessing agent position is also open. So that's what I have for you.
Comments from the board? Selectmen items? Sign warrants?
You want to do this first?
Whatever you
I said, we're making
Yeah,
a-
so I didn't want to tag the mark that.
Yeah, be nice to take that one. But, like I said, but this will.
Guy from
Yeah, one of them has 2 spots. I'm sorry.
Thursday, Friday.
What kindergarten?
Well, I went to public school, so What do you want? Hold on one second. I actually got something I can share with you.
It didn't rain. Nothing you could do about it.
So like if you had 200,000 emissions, you'd be at like 1760 for 200,000. 60. So 1,760.
That's for 200.
That's for 200 even. Yeah, I made a little quick reference thing in
You
here.
just multiply point 0.00 times the assessment. And they'll tell you exactly.
Yep. Yep. The only thing is that doesn't take into account like your exemptions, like if you get a veterans exemptions or homestead or anything. But it gets you in the ballpark. Hey, dude.
No, I do.
No. I'll be seeing my barber on Sunday. Seeing her.
I was, thought today.
We only had one sticky, sorry. So there are multiple pages.
There are, okay, so,
But we don't have to sign it.
We have to sign it all.
yeah, we do have to wait.
Yeah, Donna will sign it. Yep, yeah.
I guess so.
Where you going?
That assessment's not 4 or 5 days.
I made sure everybody had one. Dana didn't have one, we took it home.
No, I didn't.
I go with that.
I have a fancier book on it.
I don't know which one of you didn't sign this one, because I can't read any of your writing.
Don't get it.
That's what's not your hands. No, I don't think yours is on.
How many four spots? Assigned to me.
4 or 5.
That one.
There's 2 on one page.
I saw him go, pretty complicated, 5 times, 2 pages.
Make a motion to sign warrants 23, 24, 25, 26, and 27.
Second.
Motion is second, any discussion? All those in favor? Executive session.
We're going to enter an executive session to discuss personnel matters pursuant to MRSA Title I, Chapter 13, Section 4056A.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Vote. Hey, folks.
Right in my, you know what?